Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Of course, here with Greg. We're gonna do a very different video this week. We're gonna talk about kind of how to be successful in kind of the younger ages in business. Obviously, Greg's seen a lot of stuff. Wants to give some advice. We know there's a lot of people always asking, how to be successful in business, but also just how to be successful at a younger age. And so, Greg, first things first, how are you?
Hey, Jason, good to see you. I'm great, man. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Ontario is 3 days away from unlocking. So I'm
Okay.
very hopeful, at least unlocking for the fifth time, but let's see what happens. But
All right.
going
Well,
into it, so obviously looking to do a kind of different video this week. Where do you want to kick things out? I know you were talking about, what to go to school for, even in some cases, what you've seen kind of become successful. Do you want to just kick it off and we'll see where we go?
sure. Yeah, no, for sure. And light to opening up, actually, right? For the fifth time. Hopefully that happens. We've all been in lockdown way too long. Well, it's actually been a really interesting time. Speaking of COVID and lockdowns, all that, right? I mean, just like to spend time thinking about what it takes to be successful. And I remember, like, when I was growing up, I got a long time ago, right? Like, I was talking to my grandfather about, like, what is it that, like, how do you become successful? I remember him telling me and he gave me this little mock-up of a train that had this little thing that said, basically, there's 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 a million roads to success. You just need to choose, one that sort of suits you. And I remember just like thinking that, wow, like there's so many different, like, I always thought there was sort of one way that you had to go to be successful, and that's definitely not the case. So one big thing I've kind of like learned along the way is just like being open to the possibility of a wide variety of different, ways to be successful. And I got to say, I mean, like, there's stuff I've missed along the way. I don't know if people, always admit the stuff they've sort of missed, but for sure, like, along the way, even though you might, end up being successful, there's things that are not going to necessarily work out, but that's totally okay. Like, I remember, for me, and this goes a long way back, but when Starbucks opened, one of the early stores was in Madison Park, just in Seattle, right near the University of Washington, where I went to school. And I remember I got up one early morning, right, to, like, with my girlfriend, and we were going to go get a cup of coffee. We are going to drive to Starbucks and sort of make that a thing. And I was thinking, this is insane. It's a really, crappy, cloudy day. We have to get in our car and drive like 3 or 4 blocks, and we got to go to this place called Starbucks, and we got to spend like $2.50, $3 to get like a small coffee. And I was thinking, this is the stupidest idea ever, right? But obviously, like, I just didn't have the right mindset to be thinking about that as a possibility. And of course, the whole point was not the drive, or not the fact that you had to get up and get, put on clothes and all that, instead of just like scooching over to your kitchen and turn on whatever, the coffee pot. But I miss the fact that, like, people love to gather and love to get together, especially first thing in the morning. It's not so much about the coffee, but it's about that experience. And so, like, it became a really important thing for me to open up my mind to different possibilities of how to be successful. And for sure, like, for me, when I went to Japan, that was something. And I went there when I was in my 20s, and I really was forced to begin to look at life in a totally different way, because it was a foreign country. They obviously speak a different language. It's a different currency. There's different business practices, right? Different culture, different food. So, like, I was always just forced to, like, look at the world from a different view. So I think that was probably like lesson number one for me, is like, keep your eyes open, your ears to the ground, and keep your mind open to the possibility that things may turn out very, very different than you expect, especially these days when there's so much, technology that's flying around. I mean, like, it's hard to predict where things will end up, but it's not going to be like it is today. It's going to be very different for sure.
Yeah, and I'll throw in my little tidbit here too, but we'll go back to it. I always tell, friends, in your younger age, you can spot trends, right? It could be whether your interest is gaming, or it's hockey, or it's whatever. Hey, the people in hockey are starting to wear this pad or this helmet, or it could be in gaming. Hey, people are starting to talk about this game or this, trend. You see it in something you're passionate about, and whether it's gaming, whether it's, biotech, whether it's finance, you see the trends, especially at a younger age, in things you're passionate about before others. And, just kind of thinking in the right mindset of, kind of, hey, this could be the opportunity. And, kind of throwing it back to you. So, let's say, hey, oh, I'm starting to see things pop up. We talk about how do you generate wealth. And I'm curious, I'll throw it to yours. I know you've got a few points you want to talk about in terms of wealth generation.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess a couple of things there, right? So first of all, besides just like being open to possibilities of things we haven't anticipated, I mean, the other thing is you were sort of hinting at there, right? Is like there's a lot of great clues right around us, right? So like, don't miss those things, those trends, as you were saying, that are right there at your footsteps, day in and day out, for sure. One of the things that happened for me when I remember, I'll never forget the day I saw my very first Tesla, which was obviously now a long time ago, back in 2013 when they first came out. And I remember seeing that and just thinking, wow, that's, I heard a lot about the hype, and I heard about Elon talking about it, and, was pretty excited about the possibility, but had no idea. But when I saw my first Tesla driving down the street, it just totally caught my imagination. And that's when the stock was $35 a share, pre any split at all. And that, and I did some math pretty quickly that a $50,000 investment in Tesla then would be worth $6 million US right now. I haven't looked at the share price today, but at least that much, right? So, I mean, definitely be open to possibility, and also look, for the clues that are right here, in your backyard, at your footsteps, right close by. But I guess, like in terms of creating, wealth, I mean, part of it is like just doing what you really love to do, for sure. I'm a huge fan of just slowly, incrementally, saving along the way and investing. I've always loved investing, and will continue to do that. I mean, obviously, the way that people have made really excessive wealth is by getting a piece of something that's gotten really, really big. I mean, that's just totally a common thing. But often, like they're going into places like none of us really, thought about before. And every single, major company that we're talking about these days, was barely even thought about, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's amazing, like just how quickly everything turns. But, part of it's hard to predict what those things will be, but part of wealth creation is just like sticking with it and just like constantly setting aside a little bit of money, constantly trying new ideas, constantly building companies. I mean, I haven't always been able to predict where I'm going to get big wins in my equity portfolio, but boy, I do know for sure one thing is that you just got to keep at it and keep making investments, keep starting companies, and eventually something's gonna hit. I mean, they just do it. Just works that way.
Yeah, well, keeping in mind that a lot of people that are watching these are going to be typically younger, but also are investors or in business or something of that nature. If you're talking about like looking at companies, is there anything advice you would give to kind of that specific demographic of, hey, people that are great, they made the first step, they're starting to invest at a younger age. What else would you say on top of that?
Well, the other thing that I'm just so amazed at is that there's so many more opportunities now today for younger people starting out their career than even years back, right? So you just, talk about sort of investing in wealth creation. I mean, there were never platforms like Robinhood before, right? Where you could actually buy partial shares in companies. And there was not, platforms like Reddit that you could, actually follow and track and trade in stocks. I mean, like there's a trade going on right now on AMC, where I've got some friends who are just crushing it. I mean, I know somebody who made like $30,000 last week, Friday, just on that one trade. And their son is also involved in that trade. And he's, in his early 20s, already building his own, kind of trading strategy and portfolio on these platforms that are, out there now that never existed. So part of it is like, just know that it's going to work out. I mean, there's phenomenal possibilities if you, keep working at it and keep your eyes open to the possibilities, for sure. And you're going to miss some things along the way, for sure. Like my Starbucks story, but like there's going to be a whole bunch of other things that do work out. So let all that stuff that doesn't work out just go on by and keep focusing on the things that are working. Is part of what I found. It really makes it all work.
Yeah, no, awesome. Look, some good advice, and I know we'll probably do some more of these as well. This is kind of just a general intro. Anyone who has questions, entrepreneurs, people in business or anything else, obviously let us know. I know we were getting some questions how to be successful in kind of biotech, which of course Greg has a little background in. So we'll do one of those coming up as well. But Greg, anything else kind of general, just how to be successful kind of early in business, early investor, just a younger person that you wanted to kind of give some advice on?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would probably add one more thing, which is just always keep seeking out that inspiration. Always keep educating yourself. Right? There's always new things to discover and find out, and just don't lose that spark. Right? Just constantly keep feeding whatever you need to be fed to keep that spark going. Because at the end of the day, that's ultimately what makes the difference. We all just want to hopefully make the place a little bit better for the next generation. And that's generally been true. And it's a great to be part of this overall process. So keep at it, I guess, is my parting comment.
Keep learning, keep looking. Obviously, the just because an opportunity you missed it last week doesn't mean there isn't one this week. Getting stuck in the
Sure.
past, I'll say, getting stuck in the past isn't a way to make money. Always look forward. So fantastic. But Greg, thanks for doing these. I know a lot of interesting questions online. Would love to get anyone's feedback to squeeze into future videos. But Greg, we'll do some more of these coming soon.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Great to see you. Yeah. Thanks a lot.